I want to talk now about some really disturbing issues that are happening in our society right now. I want to play you a clip of about a minute on pro-Palestinian activists going door to door asking people to boycott Israel. It's been called a Jew hunt because, of course, they're noting down who the people who are Jewish are if they say what they are. What must it be like if you're Jewish to have the door knocked and for someone to say, essentially, are you going to boycott Israel? You say no, they say why? So let's have a look at this and the brave, brave woman, Jean Hatchet is her name, who confronted these people.
You're knocking on doors.
Yeah. Asking people to show their support for Palestine.
And if they don't?
We just go away and say
you go
sorry.
away. Do you take a note of the door?
No. Well, we're taking note of doors that we've knocked on, but we don't put anything down.
I see. So you're taking a note of doors you've knocked on.
Only so that we don't do it again.
And the ones you don't do it again, what kind of answers would they give that you don't knock on their door again?
Some of them say yes, some of them say no, some of them say I'll think about it.
And? Which doors don't you knock on? The Jews or the Jew supporting
We do
people?
knock on everybody's door.
Yeah, and the ones who, and you're telling me that there are some doors you don't knock on again. Which doors are they?
We don't knock on doors.
So you record the ones that give you an answer that is against your politics, is that right?
We record, we say no answer, or not interested, or supportive.
So you're not interested ones then?
Yeah.
You're making a note of those addresses?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. You are Jew hunting.
Well, we're saying that we won't go there again.
You are Jew hunting.
They're not Jews, most of them.
Well, Jean Hatchet making a very, very good point there, confronting those people who are doing that. That was in Sheffield. Nicole Lampert is a journalist and indefatigable campaigner against anti-Semitism. Nicole, this is horrendous that these people are doing this. What must it be like to get a knock on the door?
I suppose it depends on how you're feeling, and I think the thing to remember with the Jewish community, because obviously I've been on your show talking about them a lot, that it feels almost like maybe we are a big or powerful community, but there's 290,000 of us in the entire country. That's 0.5%. All of us come from families that have had to run away from somewhere. The Holocaust is just about within living memory. So if they knocked on my door, they would get several four-letter words. But many people are very frightened. Many people are thinking about moving. I'm on many Jewish WhatsApp groups because I get lots of stories from them. But often people are discussing which country can we go to, where is safe, because this country doesn't feel safe anymore. And that door knocking is just a kind of tiny part of it. Because what I've been writing about anti-Semitism now for some years, and it was really bad in the universities. It was obviously bad in the labor movement, but it's now bad in schools. It's bad in the NHS. It's bad in almost every sector there is of society. My son's at school, and at university, I expected him to have anti-Zionism, but he's just getting old-fashioned Jew hate, like people scathing about Jews. They don't even bother hiding it behind Zionists. So all of that, it all wraps up into a feeling of fear. Obviously, we know that two people were killed in a terrorist attack, and there was another terrorist attack that would have been even more dangerous. As it was even before October 23, our schools, our synagogues, our nurseries were all behind gates. We had security guards. So it's frightening. This all adds to it. And of course, if people are coming to your door, then that adds to it too, because your door is your door is your home. It's your safe place. If you can't be left alone there, then where can you be left alone? And it does feel like there's not a single space where they would just leave us alone.
There's just such stupidity, such ignorance as well from these people saying boycott Israeli goods. I mean, your iPhone, for example, I happen to have two of them, has Israeli technology in it. If I wanted to boycott Israel, and I don't, but if I did want to properly boycott Israel, I'd give up my iPhone and many mobile phones that have that technology in it. There's incredible work being done on cancer, on trying to treat cancer, for example. I did a story on it a few months ago. These brilliant scientists in Israel are working on ways to target the cancerous cells rather than chemotherapy, which of course is a grueling process, and it kills both the cancerous cells and the non-cancerous cells. Well, this technology that I was talking about and that I was being interviewing this person about, this professor about, was about targeting those cells. Are people who get that form of cancer going to say, oh, I don't want to be cured of cancer because I hate Israel. I'd rather die than have Israeli science. And those are just two examples, Nicole. I mean, it's just so absurd. It's also the fact that you're blaming a nation and Jewish people for the actions of a government which you may or may not disagree with. It's like me saying, well, you happen to be from the UK, Nicole, therefore you're responsible for every single thing that Keir Starmer does. And I'm not going to employ you, and I'm not going to give you any money for your journalism because you're from the UK. It is absurd.
And that's what we're definitely finding that, particularly across the arts, where Jewish people are being cancelled from, there's comedians that have been cancelled from gigs, where where cinemas don't want to play Jewish or Israeli, and they intermingle so that it did maybe ostensibly it's about Israelis, but then it becomes not. It becomes about Jews, and that's because anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, they cross over, they're both Jew hate. So even if you say this is just about Israel, it so quickly becomes about just Jews. So I don't know whether you've played it or you want to play it, but the Matt Lucas thing, where he's attacked on the tube and by a pro-Palestine person and it's simply because he's Jewish.
Yeah, so, we played that clip yesterday. I'm not quite sure if it's in our system. Oh, we do have it. Yeah, can we play it now? This is Matt Lucas and what happened to him on the tube in London.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine, Matt Lucas. Free Palestine.
Hi, how are you?
You don't like to see what I'm hearing, do you?
Sorry?
You don't like what I'm hearing?
No, I have no comment about it either way.
Palestinians. You've got a problem with Palestinians, man?
No.
Please don't. You can't do that. You can't grab my stuff.
So Matt Lucas there on the tube. If people are listening on the radio, of course there are people who are watching, but there are many more who are listening on the radio. Just to say that Matt Lucas, the comedian, public figure, of course, very talented performer, coming off an escalator in a tube station in London. And I don't know about you, Nicole, you'll know this better than I will, but I'm pretty sure Matt Lucas, who I didn't even know until a couple of days, until the weekend, I didn't know he was Jewish. I'm not sure he's actually put his opinion across on the issue of the Middle East at any point.
No, he's signed a single letter for the hostages. That was it. He's incredibly silent on this issue, and part of that is because people want to cancel him for other reasons, for some of the Little Britain stuff.
Yeah.
But whatever his political opinion is, and I have no idea, he's being attacked because he's Jewish. And the same happened to Vanessa Feltz, where she's just attacked. So these are just famous Jews being attacked in the street, and I know many others. So this is what's happening. So we've talked about Jews being attacked by people coming to their houses. They're being attacked by people talking to them on the on the tube. And
Yes.
this guy wants to start a fight. And these are not Israelis. These are Jews. And even if they were Israelis, and the other thing to say is that the war in Gaza is over.
Yes, exactly. I saw something. I was walking in London the other day, and I saw this sort of cafe restaurant, and it said stop the genocide. I was thinking, first of all, it wasn't a genocide, and we now know much more about the numbers of that. It's agreed between Israel and Hamas that around 71,000 people were killed in that war in Gaza. 50,000 of them plus have been given pensions by Hamas because they were Hamas terrorists. So you're talking about 20,000 people being killed. Now, I would rather none of those 20,000 people were killed, not a single one. It would have been great to have avoided that. But 20,000 people dying and being killed is not a genocide. Factually, is not a genocide. Are you, Nicole, in some way maybe given some hope in that Ambassador Yehuda Kaplan, who is Donald Trump's anti-Semitism czar, has talked about the need for Keir Starmer to crack down on protesters who are making large parts of the UK no-go zones for Jewish people, as he has said. He's an influential figure in the Trump administration. He says there's a sense of a tremendous breakdown in law and order. Speaking at the end of his 2-day visit, which included meetings at Downing Street, senior Jewish leaders, Rabbi Kaplan, who's Mr. Trump's special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism, said, "Coming to England was a priority for my office because we have been inundated by calls from people within the UK to ask our assistance in working with the government to help stem the tide of anti-Semitism, which has been running amok in the UK throughout many of its regions." He's diagnosed the problem very, very quickly. He knows what's going on here. Does it give you at least some hope, Nicole, that such a powerful figure recognises this and wants to do something about it?
I'm afraid it gives me no hope at all, because it's not like he's telling us, any of us, you, me, your people listening or watching, anything that we didn't already know, that there is a serious problem. And in fact, I would say that the problem has got even worse. You've got the Green Party, they're actively campaigning on a for Gaza ticket in certain seats, including for the local council elections in some Jewish areas.
Well, Caroline Lucas, who is the former leader of the Green Party, has said in terms that a vote for the Green Party is a vote for the people of Palestine, as she puts it.
Which is it's just so ridiculous, because they're
about bins. It's about bins. It's about bin collections, not about Palestine. It's about bin collections.
And this to me, I really am always very careful about comparing it to the Nazi era, but basically Jew hate has always been invoked in times of difficulty, and we are living in a cost of living crisis, and all of that comes with it. People are very upset about immigration. It's much easier for people like the Green Party to not talk about anything eco or anything like that, but to just talk about how do we hate on the Jews. And that is the really depressing thing, that has been mainstreamed. I'm depressed about the fact that the Palestine action people seem to get away with what we all saw, violence. And
they may well be deprescribed by the end of the week. Let's go across the Irish Sea and talk about the absurdities of Ireland and its incredible, the Republic of Ireland, and its incredible levels of anti-Semitism, societal anti-Semitism, I would argue. There are many, many people who don't believe the Holocaust actually happened in Ireland. There are many, many people who believe that the impact was exaggerated. You're talking at about over 20% of people who believe that in Ireland, those two things. Imelda May is a particularly stupid artist in Ireland. This is what she has been doing. A Palestinian flag, talking about people being gay, trans, and so on, and well, singing about it. And I use the term loosely. Nicole, she just doesn't get it, does she? She just doesn't get it, and so many Irish people don't get it either. Especially when you look at this further controversy of Ireland being drawn in a grouping in a football tournament with Israel, and the fact that people are saying, well, we should play them in a neutral venue, not in Ireland. Well, that just goes back to the nonsense and the lies we were told in regard to Maccabi Tel Aviv in Birmingham, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, there's kind of two things. There's this fetishization of what the Palestinians are. They're just a cipher for kind of people's hatred, and people who have no understanding of what life is like for the Palestinians. And, I want there to be a state of Palestine to be alongside a state of Israel. I want the Palestinians to live in peace. But what's happening right now on the ground is that Hamas are presently getting more and more powerful, and they are actually throwing people out of their homes because they are recruiting and they're ready for more war. And people like Imelda May brandishing her flag for essentially a terrorist Islamist group, they kind of giving the green light for that, because one of the reasons that I am so depressed is that we don't hear anybody really in British politics talking about what's going on the ground, or even attacking Hamas. And Ireland is like a basket case. It's filled with anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism. There are a few brave souls that are speaking out. I've got a Substack, and one young man has written a piece for me about Ireland and the many different ways in which and why the Irish are like this. But there is a kind of desperate glee, actually, I have to say, or I am laughing at the fact that out of all the countries that Ireland draws with for these qualifiers, it has to be Israel, of course. And of course, what does that mean for Ireland? Ireland was so excited to be in the World Cup, and if they pull out of these matches, then they forfeit the points.
Yes, wouldn't that be awful? I saw that draw, and I thought of not really an Irish phrase, but a marvellous Northern Irish phrase, which is "slap it up, you." When I remembered that, Nicole, as always, many thanks for your insight and analysis there. That is the journalist Nicole Lampert, an activist against anti-Semitism.